Nice.
Hello and welcome back everyone. In today's video we are going to learn coding. Yes, you heard it right, coding. But don't click away just yet. I promise it's way simpler than you think. So here's the deal. Unity uses C# for coding. You know C#, it's a programming language. But Highrise doesn't allow that. So many other games like Roblox. It's all about Lua. Maybe you've never heard of Lua. Maybe you're like, what the heck is Lua? So what the heck is Lua? Lua is super straightforward. Highrise gives us methods and classes to play with. So for example, if you go to create.highrise.game and you go to learn and then, for example, scripting and scripting game object. Right here, you can find a bunch of different examples on how to script a game object. And if you click on the game object itself inside the classes, you're gonna find the methods that the properties and the methods that you can use. And this is what we're gonna be working on. Oh, and don't bother asking ChatGPT for help because those AI are not familiar with the Highrise API. Of course, you can look up online courses, but you guessed it, you will also not find help because basically you are using what Highrise gives you and what Highrise provides for you. So you're stuck with me on this series and I am sorry for that, but cheer up. I mean, you are going to hear my voice more often. And enough talk, let's jump right into coding. So first things first, get the Highrise Studio Hub. Right click, open, select your awesome project that we worked on earlier. Click on it, wait a few minutes for it to load. And finally, it loaded. So let me explain a little bit about Lua. Lua is like a superstar of coding languages. It's lightweight, it's super easy to understand, and perfect for things like making games and running small programs inside programs. For example, we have this barrel. We want this barrel to move. We attach a script to this barrel. We write a small script to make this barrel move. For example, cube is a player, and we want the cube to interact with the box. We write a script to make the cube interact with the box. Does that make sense? Perfect. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started explaining a bit about scripts and how to write them from the scratch. I'm not gonna overwhelm you with everything because I know you might be new to coding. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching this video. So we're gonna go through them step by step. You can pause the video if you see me talking fast. You can always slow down the video, or you can always play back the video. Are we ready? Let's hop right in. Now, if you want to create a script, you go to project, and then if you don't have the two column, just open this menu right here, click on two columns, and then go to assets, art, and then right click, create Lua, and there's UI view and behavior. UI view is for user interface. We'll go through this together later on, and let's for now choose behavior. So I'm gonna give my script a name. I'm gonna call it barrel script. Hit enter and wait for this to load. Perfect, it's loaded. Now let me explain what's the Lua behavior. Now let's say we have a barrel here and we have a script. The script uses Lua behavior. The Lua behavior in Highrise is like having a translator. Imagine you speaking English and you want to communicate with other people. The Lua behavior class serves as a translator, allowing you to interact with other people even though they don't speak your language. And it's the same way here. So for example, if this barrel right here wants to communicate with another object, you must use that script, and that script will be attached to this specific object. So right now, if you click on the script, you can see here in the inspector menu, there's script type. If you open this menu, there's client server, UI, and module. We'll go through them all together. Let's choose client and then find the barrel in our scene. If you click on it, it will be highlighted on the hierarchy. If you want to add a script or attach script to this barrel, you can just come to the project panel, hold and drag the script and place it on the barrel, just like that. You can see here, it's now attached to the object. There's another way to do it. If you delete this one, if you do remove component and you just hold and drag the script and you just put it in the inspector. Again, there's another way. If you remove component and you just do it using the button right here. If you click add component and then you search for barrel script, you're gonna find it right here and just click on it. And that's it. That's how you add a script to the game object. Now let's learn how to write a code. Now, first thing first, you see the script that we have in the project, right click, open, or double click on the script itself. This will open a new script in the Visual Studio Code. If you haven't installed the Visual Studio Code, please do it. And one note though, if you go to extensions and search for Highrise, and you will find Highrise Studio Tools, you have to install this. I already have it installed, so I'm not gonna do it, but you can do it too. Now, let's go back to our script and let's type print and let's say hello from this script. Now, Ctrl S to save and go back to Unity and head back to your game and click on run. Now the game loaded and you can see here in the console it says hello from this script. It means that our script is running. Now this is boring. We don't want just to log in the console because this is useless. Let's go back to the script and let's write some code. Okay, in this example, we're gonna print out the name of the object, and we're gonna print its location. To print the name of the object, first we have to get the object by doing local object equals self.gameObject. Now, if you look at the documentation, you'll see that using self will represent the game object in general. And now, if we print the game object, we can do print hi my name is, and then the object.name. To get the location, we're gonna do location equals self.transform. Again, if you want more info about this, you can check the documentation to see how it works. And then print hi my I'm located at, and because we can't print the table, we have to use toString to print it as a string. And we use the two dot here just to separate the string that's in between the quotation with the value that we have right here. So if we save this, Control S, and here we can stop the game and we hit play again. This should print out, hi, my name is barrel big, and hi, I'm located at the location of the object. If you click on the barrel and you go to the inspector, you can see here that the position is exactly the same. So this way you can get the position and the name for the object, and this will help us write code later on in the video. Okay, are we ready for next step? Okay, this step is going to be including components, something that you don't know about. We're going to explain in a bit. So each object here has a component in the inspector. If you go to the inspector, you can see here this one has a mesh render, it has a script, and it has a mesh filter. So what are components? Components in Unity are like toppings on a pizza. Each component adds a different flavor or function to that game object. Just like how pepperoni adds a kick, cheese makes it gooey, and pineapple, well, let's not get into that debate. So think of component as a special ingredient that makes your object or game object deliciously unique and playable in Unity's kitchen of game development. For example, let's say this is the object that we have. If we want this object to fall, we add component and we search for rigid body and we add rigid body and we disable gravity. And this way, if we enable gravity, the object will fall. That's basic physics. Now, if we want to make the object hit our player or bump into our player, let's say this is our player. Now we can't see the player because we're not in the play mode. Let's say this is our player, the cube. And if we move the cube right here, and then the box or the barrel moves and bump into the cube, we want to know when did that happen and if that happened. So we can create games based on that. So how to do this? First, let's move the object and put it right here. Let's add an animation to make the object move. To add an animation, go to Window, Animations, and Animation. Now this will open up, and if you do create here, you can just name the animation wherever you want. I'm gonna keep it new animation for now. Save, and you have this window right here. Now, let's make the object move from left to right. Now, this is how to write a script. It's not how to animate the object, so I'm not going to go into details. I'm just going to show you a quick preview. So first, you start recoding, you move the object a little bit, and then you move in frames, right? For example, let's make it move every 50 seconds. And then you move the object like that. And then you just hit the recording again. You save, Control S, and you leave. And if you want to preview the animation, you can just click on the object and you can go to the project. You can see we have new animation, or you can just go to the object and you can see also here we have a new animation in the as a component. So if you double click on new animation and you click play here after you select the object, you can see here that it's moving from left to right. Now we want to make this object interact, or we want to make this object bump into us. So for example, if I leave this animation and I click play, I want to make this object bump into my player. So if I stand here, I want to make this object interact with me. I want to make this object do something. So let's do that. Let's go back to the edit mode. Just a quick note that I wanted to add. If your object doesn't work, you have to click on the object and you have to go to layers. This should be default. You should change it to character trigger. This way it will work. If it's on default, it will not work. So make sure you change the layer. Have a box collider to collide. So we go to components and we search for box collider and we edit that, we enter that. Now if you click F on your keyboard, this will zoom in. Okay, you see that box around the barrel? This is the area where we collide. So for example, if you increase the X, this will increase the area and it will make it more or easier to collide with. But let's keep it default for now. And the first thing we need to do is to write the code. So let's head back to our script. If you go to project again, and if you right click, open the project. So to get started, we create a new function. We call it OnTriggerEnter, which takes a parameter name other, and then we get the character component attached to the game object that collides with the trigger, and then we check if the player character is not found, we exit the function, and then we get the player associated with the character component, and we check if the player is a local player by doing client.localPlayer. If yes, we're gonna print that this player entered this game object. If we do Control S to save, go back to Unity, and we click play, and we stand here, you can see it's not logging, and this is because our avatar or our object doesn't have OnTrigger enabled. So if you click on your avatar in the scene view and you scroll down in the components, you can see here capsule collider, and this trigger is not enabled. So if you enable this, you can see here I said entered, which means that the object is hitting me. But here's the thing: how do you enable the is trigger on the start? So let's disable this for now, and let's go back to our main scene, which is the edit mode. Now that we are in the edit mode, this is going to be a bit complicated, so you have to follow along. If we go to edit and then we go to project settings and we search for Highrise, you can see here we have something called world prefab and scene prefab. Now if we click on the world prefab, it will take us to the main package, and it's right here. Now if I close this and select the world, you can see here that the world has scene loader and general chat as an component, but we're not going to use that. We're going to use the world scene. So if you go to world scene, you can see here there's a character prefab, and if you click on the character prefab itself, and it will take us to the character itself. And if you click on it and you scroll down in the components, you can see here we have capsule collider. So we can create a new prefab for that character, and we can spawn it when the player spawns. So to do this, we're going to go back to the world. So if you go back to the project settings and you select world again, and you can see it's right here. Now bear with me, I know this might be complicated for a beginner, but it's pretty easy. If you go to art, right, and here in art we can double click create, and we can create a new folder. I'm gonna call this prefab. After creating it, you can open this folder prefabs, and you can go back to the project settings and select world again. Now select this world and do control and select the other one, which is the world scene and the world. Now scroll up in the project and drag the world and the world scene into the prefab. Once that's done, go back to the prefab. You can close this for now and select world scene. Now see here we have a character prefab. We're gonna do the same. So we're going to click on the character, and we're also going to scroll up in the project, and we're going to drag the character prefab into our new prefabs. And if we scroll up, we are done with this. Scroll up, go to prefabs and go to human. And here you can scroll down and you can set is trigger enable. And now if you go back to the world scene, now you can change the character prefab from the Highrise package to the one that we just created. And if you click on this little circle right here, and you can see here there's human character, and this is coming from the package from Highrise, but we don't want that. We want the one that we just created, which is this one. If you click on it, you can see the path here. It says assets template art prefabs, which is the one we just created. You select that and you go back to the settings, project settings, using edit project settings, and here you can see world prefab. We're just going to copy the same steps. You click on this little circle, and here there's two worlds. This one is provided by Highrise, and this is the one that we just copied. You select this one and you go to scene prefab, and again world scene. You click on the circle, and again there's two worlds, and we're going to select the one that we just created. Just to make sure, read here, it says assets template art prefabs, and select this one. Now if you go back and save it, we can clear the console and we can hit play again. Now here it says hello from the script, my name is barrel big. Now if we move and try to block the path of the barrel, it will log here that we entered the collider. Now if you go here, you can see here that says entered. This way we can tell that the barrel is actually hitting us, and we can create a game based on that. So let's go back into coding and let's make something a little bit better. Now what we want to do is we want to get the position of the player, which is the XYZ. So first we get the position of the player using create a new variable, call it player pause Y, and then we get the position using player.character.transform.position.y, and then we get the position of the player with the Z. Now we want to teleport the player when the barrel hit the player. So we do player.character.transform.local position. So we do Ctrl S to save. We go back to Unity and we click play. And here you can see we can just move around, and if we step into the parameter, the barrel will push us back to the position. So as you can see, it will always just push us back, as we are basically teleporting the player when the barrel hits the player. And that's it. That's basically it. This is how we start coding. This is how we start making games. And we're just going to keep following the same pattern over and over again. If you find that hard to understand, just feel free to repeat the video over and over again until you understand the way you do things. And I'll catch you in the next video. Stay safe and thank you for watching.